What's good, crypto fam? Be sure to say hello and let me know where you're tuning in from in the live chat. In today's show, I'm going to be breaking down Natalie Brunell's $150,000 price target, along with the time frame when she believes it will hit this price, as well as what she discussed when she met the El Salvadoran president, Nayib Bukele. We'll also be discussing the latest technical analysis, as well as breaking news. House Financial Services Committee passes a bill protecting the right to self-custody your Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, as well as breaking news. El Salvador's new $1 billion Bitcoin mining startup to create its very own mining pool, quoting them here. This initiative will boost our integration into the Bitcoin network. We'll also be discussing a sad story. Missing crypto millionaire found dismembered in a suitcase with his limbs and head detached from his body. We'll also be discussing Mike Novogratz advises investors to buy Bitcoin as federal interest payments continue to skyrocket. Also breaking news, Grayscale urges the SEC to approve all Bitcoin ETFs simultaneously as the Bitcoin game theory continues in full effect. We'll also be discussing the latest from ARK Investors' Cathie. She says Bitcoin 60% rally as U.S. banks collapse proves that Bitcoin will usher in a money revolution. We'll also be taking a look at the overall crypto market. All this, plus so much more, in today's show. And if you're new to the YouTube channel, you know what to do. Smash that subscribe button and ring that bell to turn on notifications to receive daily premium crypto news alerts every single day, just like this. And today's episode is brought to you by iTrust Capital, the #1 place to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrencies so you can get them tax-free. That's right. And not only can you buy, sell, and trade the top cryptos, they now have listed XRP, or I should say relisted since that lawsuit against the SEC. Now, they have done over $7 billion in transactions, so they are the largest out there. And there are over 195,000 accounts created, and they have a special offer exclusive for you. By using my link in the show notes below the video in the description, right down below this video, you're going to notice you click that link. If you confirm your email and fund your account, you're going to get a $100 bonus reward, which will be added to your account within 30 to 45 days after your account is successfully funded. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description right down below, and let's get this crypto tax-free. Shall we? And welcome everyone. This is pod episode number 1355. I'm your fearless leader, JV, and today is July 28th, 2023. Naturally, we have lots to discuss. So let's kick off today's show by checking out this market watch. As you can see, Bitcoin and a lot of the major cryptos back in the green. Let's go. Bitcoin up 0.5% for the day, trading above $29,300. Ether also up, trading just under $1,900. A couple of the ones correcting are currently XRP and Polkadot. And checking out coinmarketcap.com, the current crypto market cap sits at 1.18 trillion with 25 billion in volume in the past 24 hours, with the Bitcoin dominance just above 48.1%, with the Ether dominance at 19.1%. And checking out the top 100 crypto gainers in the past 24 hours, we have Bone up 8%, trading at $1.41, followed by Shiba Inu up 7%. And isn't it interesting that Bone is leading the pack right above Shiba? You can't make this stuff up. We also have ICP up almost 6%, trading above $4.33. And checking out the top 100 crypto gainers for the past week, ACA green. It's about time. Only a handful in the red, with some of the top gainers being Hex. We have Sheeb, we got Quant, we got Casper, and ICP. And checking out the Crypto Greed and Fear Index, we're currently rated a 52, which is neutral. Yesterday was a 51, last week a 50, and last month a 62 in greed. So there you have it. Welcome everyone just joining us. Make sure to say hello and let us know where you're tuning in from in the live chat. And at the end of the show, I'll be reading everyone's comments out loud. Now let's dive into today's Bitcoin technical analysis. Check out the charts and what is popping with the king, BTC. Check it. Bitcoin stayed range bound at the July 28 Wall Street Open despite further U.S. inflation data beating the expectations, as we can see here in the Bitcoin 1 hour candle chart. Data from Cointelegraph and TradingView showed Bitcoin price action getting only a modest boost from the personal CPI index print. This came in below estimates, hinting that U.S. inflation was continuing to subside and copying other data prints from the week. As Game of Trades points out here, breaking U.S. PCE price index comes in below expectations. We expected 3.1%. We only got 3%. Hilarious, right? Inflation continues to wane as per this metric. And quoting the Kabisi letter, PCE inflation is now at its lowest since April of 2021. The Fed may finally have inflation under control. Yeah, sure. As they say, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. And much like the July 26th Fed interest rate hike and July 27th U.S. quarter 2 GDP estimate, Bitcoin refused to turn on volatility, sticking between 29 and 29.5. That's right, 29 support has been holding strong. The Bitcoin stays below the bull's resistance target. According to crypto trader Crypto Tony, he shares, I expect continuation down to $28,000 in time, but for sure, we could range here for a little while before we drop. And quoting Dan Crypto Trades, he says, with Bitcoin rejecting from the previous range, I think it makes sense to prepare for 28,000 lows in validation upon retaking 29.5, but there seems to be a lot of supply at that level and a little spot bid to bring it up. Likely a choppy road on the way. And Mikalva Nepop shares deviation, hashtag Bitcoin, and also additionally queried whether the weekend, with its thinner liquidity and more options for volatile movement, could produce a classic comeback. So there you have it. Let me know if you are currently more bullish or bearish on the King Crypto. Major news just in. Let's touch upon this. The House Financial Services Committee passes a bill protecting the right to self-custody, your Bitcoin and crypto. Pretty good stuff. This is definitely positive news as broken down right here. It's the Keep Your Coins Act of 2023. Bring it. Also, other breaking news coming out of El Salvador with their new billion-dollar Bitcoin mining startup to create its very own mining pool. Quoting them here, this initiative will boost our integration into the Bitcoin network. Send it and let's freaking go. Now for a sad story. I typically don't cover stories like this on the show, but I think it's relevant and I think we need to discuss it, because there's a lot of crap happening for some reason to crypto millionaires being discovered dead. And this is alarming, to say the least. And then we'll get into why you should be buying Bitcoin right now and what would happen if all the ETFs get approved by the SEC simultaneously as per Grayscale's request, as well as the latest updates from Cathie Wood of ARK Invest, followed by Natalie Brunell's $150,000 price prediction. Then we'll end the show with our live Q&A as we do every day. So here we go. Missing crypto millionaire and Instagram influencer based in Argentina turned up dead, with police suspecting the murder after he was found dismembered in a suitcase, meaning his body parts were all chopped up. In fact, I believe his head was found in a backpack. According to several local media reports, the crypto trader, his name was Fernando Algaba, was reported missing July 18th when he failed to return the keys to a rented apartment or answer his phone. His remains were found less than a week later, July 23rd, by a group of children in a town in Ingeniero Buj, a province of the Argentine capital. This is the influencer here. May he rest in peace. The suitcase contained amputated legs and forearms. Authorities discovered a torso on July 24th after draining the stream where the suitcase was found, and even a head was found in the backpack a day later on July 25th. Analysis of fingerprints and tattoos identified the body as the missing millionaire, and an autopsy suggested he was shot 3 times before he was dismembered. And why this is so relevant is because of this. In late 2022, a spate of mysterious and sudden deaths of crypto billionaires caused wild theories across the community. Check this out. Between October and December of 2022, that's right, MakerDAO co-founder Nikolai, crypto broker Javier, and Amber Group co-founder Tian, Russian crypto billionaire Taryn, and major BitThumb shareholder Mark Poe all suffered seemingly untimely deaths. Now, is this a coincidence? Is this a conspiracy? What are your honest thoughts? What do you think is going on in this crazy crypto world? Let me know your honest thoughts in the comments right down below. Now let's discuss the latest from Mike Novogratz and his recommendation regarding Bitcoin. According to the market analyst Joe Consorti, U.S. government is now paying $970 billion per year in interest payments. That's insane. Up to $41 billion just from quarter 2. That's the highest interest expense of all time by a wide margin, with annual payments only reaching $600 billion as recently of quarter 1 of last year. Now he expects interest costs to reach $1 trillion soon, which is over 20% of the government's $4.7 trillion federal tax revenue, according to the U.S. debt clock. Now, as tax recipients continue to lag sovereign debt growth, interest payments will increasingly be funded with revenue from more debt insurance, he wrote. get it now. And even Mike Novogratz retweeted it and said, buy BTC. Another great reason to be stacking them sats. Now, interest costs began to surge after the Fed began its monetary tightening cycle, which it raised the benchmark rate from 0.25% to 5.25%. Also continue to sell treasury debt and agency mortgage-backed securities, driving up the rates for short-term T-bills. And such rate hikes make it more difficult for the government to roll over its previously issued debt, as new loans force it to pay out buyers at a higher interest rate. And in June, the St. Louis Fed published an essay stating that while interest payments are large in absolute terms, they're still relatively small against the size of the U.S. economy. Quoting them here, however, the longer interest rates stay high, more and more of the fixed rate marketable portion of the U.S. debt will be rolled over at higher rates, continuing to cause interest payments by the government to become a larger and larger portion of the budget. The bank's analysis added. Now, Bitcoin, we know, rose from 19 to 30,000 in March when the Fed bailed out depositors at Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank, while also adding another $300 billion in assets to back their balance sheet. Now, Mike Novogratz correctly predicted the pump at the time. He called Bitcoin a report card on fiscal stewardship earlier this month in response to the fast depreciating Turkish lira reaching an all-time high in Bitcoin terms. And Coinbase CTO Balaji repeatedly argued this year that mounting debt across all sectors of the economy can cause the government to print trillions, which will ultimately boost the Bitcoin price. In fact, his initial prediction was $1 million per BTC within 90 days. Now, obviously, that didn't come to fruition, but nonetheless, things couldn't be more bullish for Bitcoin right now. That's my 2 Satoshis, but let me know your thoughts in the comments right down below. Now for the latest from Grayscale, encouraging the SEC to approve all the spot Bitcoin ETFs in the United States simultaneously. Could you imagine what that would do for the Bitcoin price? Well, let's discuss it, shall we? Crypto fund manager Grayscale is urging the SEC to approve all proposed spot Bitcoin ETFs at the same time to avoid one having an advantage. I like that idea. What about you? July 27th post by Grayscale. Chief legal officer said Grayscale's legal team submitted a letter regarding 8 spot Bitcoin ETF filings, including its own, arguing the SEC shouldn't pick winners and losers and instead should make a fair and orderly decision. Sounds fair to me. The letter claimed the SEC could approve the spot ETFs based on its approval for the Bitcoin futures ETFs, saying that 2 fund types are inextricably linked. Grayscale added recent surveillances sharing agreements between Coinbase and the spot ETF providers are not a new idea, they claim, that they would not meet the SEC standards. And as Grayscale tweeted here, the SEC should approve spot Bitcoin ETFs to trade in the United States. What's more, their previous approval of Bitcoin future ETFs shows they are already in a position to do so. Very interesting. Now, ETF filings also from Invesco, BlackRock, Valkyrie, VanEck, Wisdom, Fidelity, and ARK Invest are recently updated to include SSAs with Coinbase as well, which was a requirement. Coinbase would share information on its trading books and other info so the SEC can monitor any possible market manipulation or irregular trading activity. So it seems that Coinbase is a lock. You know what I mean? When it comes to these ETFs. And in late June, the SEC pushed back on the ETFs due to there being no SSAs, saying they were needed due to what it claimed was potential for crypto markets to be manipulated. Now, Grayscale claimed, however, that the SSAs would neither satisfy nor be necessary under the SEC standards, as Coinbase isn't registered with the SEC as a securities exchange or broker-dealer. And even more interestingly, there is an ongoing lawsuit against the SEC and no clarity Gary. You can't make this stuff up. And for more insights here, check the show notes below the video in the description and watch this video why a Bitcoin ETF approval would be a big deal with Natalie Brunell. And with that being shared, fam, now for the latest from ARK Invest fearless leader, Cathie Wood. Shout out to Cathie Wood. As you know, her bullish price prediction by the year 2030 is roughly 1.5 million, 1.48 to be exact. I like to round up a bit. She says that the base case is virtually $1 million and the bearish case would be like, 640,000, somewhere in that ballpark. Here's the latest she had to share in a recent interview with Baron Woods. She spells out 3 reasons why she remains bullish on digital assets. According to Wood, the King crypto soared 60% from the 19,000 to 30,000 range when some U.S. regional banks collapsed earlier this year because investors chose Bitcoin as a safe store of value for their wealth. She says that investors using Bitcoin as a store of value will likely accelerate. Quoting Cathie Wood, Wood. See, 3 revolutions take place because of crypto. Bitcoin will dominate the first one, which is the money revolution. The biggest proof is that when regional bank stocks were falling apart earlier in the year, Bitcoin went from 19 to 30,000. That was a flight to safety, and we expect it to accelerate. Decentralized monetary standard we have today is an abbreviation. We could be going back to the future before the Fed Reserve exited under a digital rules-based monetary system with no government oversight. Wood says that the other 2 reasons for her bullishness are the potential for DeFi and digital property rights, such as NFTs or real estate in the metaverse. Quoting her again, the second revolution is in financial services, or the so-called DeFi, decentralized finance, with Ethereum based, which would be Ethereum based. There are a number of infrastructure providers out there, and it's the survival of the fittest, and I am excited to see who wins. The third is digital property rights, or what many call NFT, or the metaverse. People already buying real estate in virtual worlds. Our young research associates come into the office wearing jeans and t-shirts with no logos, but they're getting their status in the virtual world. Wood also weighs in on Coinbase Coin, one of ARK's holdings. She predicts that the U.S. crypto exchange will ultimately come out on top, despite the recent SEC lawsuit filed back in June against the exchange for allegedly selling unregistered securities. Wood believes the courts will determine the SEC if they're overstepping its authority, and that the U.S. Congress will pass crypto-favorable legislation, as she shares here. Meanwhile, the legislative branch has awakened to the fact crypto is a new asset class, and we might need new legislatures to give the regulators some guidance. Those 2 branches of government have given us great confidence that Coinbase will come out of this a winner. Many Coinbase competitors either have entered the U.S. or moved out because of our regulatory system. Coinbase has stayed to flight. We think they'll be rewarded accordingly. So there you have it. Let me know if you agree or disagree with ARK Invest Cathie Wood and her predictions on those 3 reasons why she is so uber bullish right now. And now for our main story of the day. That's Natalie Brunell's 150,000 price prediction, along with what she had to share when she got to meet the president of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele, last year. So let's break this down, shall we? So here's what she had to share. It was very formal. There were guards outside of his office. What is funny is it felt very formal outside of his actual office, but then when you walk in, he is very warm, very gracious, and very humble. Shout out to Nayib Bukele. Brunell was blown away by Bukele's knowledge of Bitcoin. Quoting her here, he was very educated and well-read on the topic of Bitcoin and economic theory, and he seemed to genuinely want positive change for his country through expanding monetary freedom. Now, Brunell, who is also the host of the Hard Money Show, as well as Coin Stories, an awesome podcast. I encourage you to check it out. She talks unconventional approach to get to the meeting, relying on the power of means, suggesting Bitcoiners will end up working at McDonald's every time the price goes down. So she put out a call on Twitter asking which McDonald's she can find Bukele at, and Bukele actually responded. See, she wrote, is that a yes or to the volcano? Both, but the shake machine is broken down. So it's good to see that Bukele also has a sense of humor, and despite her best efforts, Brunell's attempt to contact ARK Investors Cathie Wood using the same method proved to be unsuccessful back in June. But let's actually get to this target surrounding $150,000. I'm going to keep scrolling down. And yeah, she has a lot of interactions with Elon Musk as well. And y'all probably seen her on Fox or on TV. So anyways, Brunell predicts Bitcoin will face a lot of headwinds over the next 6 to 12 months, but believes it will hit 6 figures and a new all-time high within the next 24 months. Now, keep in mind, this was a prediction she made, as you can see on your screen, December 13th, 2021. So 24 months would be December of this year in 2023. So here's what she shared back then. My oversimplified prediction about the next 12 to 24 months. Bitcoin hits $150,000 plus per coin. Inflation runs so hot, the Fed has to take action. Deflationary bust occurs. Everything crashes. Bitcoin draws back to around that 75,000 mark. The Fed steps in with money printing like we have never seen. Then Hyperbitcoinization ensues. Send it and let's freaking go. And while many cannot wait for the return of the bull market, Brunell finds herself in a slightly different boat. Here's what she had to share more recently. I don't want Bitcoin to hit an all-time high anytime soon because I didn't start stacking until 2017, and I always want to stack more. How many Bitcoiners can relate? Let me know in the comments below. She tweeted back then, this ETF news is exciting, and this was the ETF news back in 2021. It's exciting for mainstream adoption, but let's all encourage the people to buy Bitcoin directly and learn how to self-custody. Amen. Preach. And what is different this time is the entities applying for the ETFs are not crypto native companies. So keep that in mind here in 2023, but rather respected institutions like the largest asset manager in the world, which is BlackRock, controlling over 10 trillion in assets under management, as well as Fidelity, that are deeply ingrained into the traditional financial system. This could create a major on-ramp for institutions and retail investors, allowing them to easily gain exposure into Bitcoin. Touche. So there you have it, coming directly from her. And could you imagine if Grayscale's recommendation to the SEC came true and they approved all of these major ETFs at the same time? Talk about Bitcoin game theory in full effect. That can send the Bitcoin price action to a new stratosphere, because you got to consider the Bitcoin market cap right now is nothing on the grand scheme of things. It's roughly $600 billion. The total addressable market is roughly $800 trillion. So if only 1% of those asset managers allocated into Bitcoin, we're talking about a substantial price increase like you couldn't even imagine, sending Bitcoin to the new stratosphere. But what are your thoughts surrounding her prediction? Do you think it can still come true this year, that we hit 150,000 by December? Wouldn't that be a merry, merry Christmas? Also, I got to point out, as I covered in the previous show, we have Fundstrat, Tom Lee of Fundstrat, predicting that we hit a range between $140,000 and $180,000 per Bitcoin between now and the next 9 months before the next halving, scheduled to be sometime in April of 2024. Let me know if you agree or disagree. And now let's tap into our live Q&A. Massive shout out to everyone out here in the live chat. I appreciate all the support each and every day. You guys are awesome. Bro Gone, welcome. Uber Hodler, Mikey Likes It, Chris Minka, Digital Dankness. We got Nate. We got Michael Volkman. We got Dr. Omar. What's Poppin' Fam? Bring Facts. Fairground Fun Days. We got Warkus. We got Hodl Mike 73. We got MK, Mr. Still Stacking, keep doing your thing. We got Tim's Crypto. We got Boomer Futurist. What's good? Response Audio, welcome. Garrett Miller, what's new? Vincent Mark, welcome to the show. Chester Gregory, good to see you. As always, Baz Dragon. I'm going to start reading out some of these comments out loud. LFC Liverpool Film Club in the building. Shout out to Tony Jeffries. Please stand up. Chris Minko, what's poppin', fam? Been a minute. Actually, it's good to see you always. Pod episode 1355. That's right. The greatest compliment you can do to help support this movement, it's free to do so, is just smash that like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, hit that bell icon, and make sure to turn on all notifications. That way you're notified each and every single day when we go live and you don't miss out on this goodness. You know what I mean? Going out to Big Nature Reserve tomorrow. Enjoy yourself. Want to see an elephant, rhino, etc. Well, you're going to have to take some pictures, especially if you see a rhino. Wouldn't that be cool? And watch out for those Bitcoin honey badgers while you're out there as well. Let's freaking go, says Boomer Futurist. Let's go. Hello, friends. Live once again. You already know GNTHR. Appreciate you tuning in, fam. Always a pleasure. I need my limbs and head attached. Also need a wallet for cold storage. Advice on this one. Preach, fam. Isn't that the saddest story? It really pains me to even read that story, but I think it's important we create this awareness because something strange seems to be happening. As far as cold storage devices, there's a lot of options out there, so I'd love to know everyone else's recommendations. Personally, I like the Trezor. They've been around for a very long time. It's open source, and it's a great wallet. It's easy to use, and it is very cost effective. You can probably pick one up for like $60, somewhere in that neighborhood. Definitely a smart thing to do. I think it's way better strategy than keeping your crypto on the exchanges, because as long as your crypto is sitting on the exchanges, it becomes a attack vector for hackers as well as regulators if they launch a lawsuit, even including unlawful lawsuits against the major exchanges. Then that can freeze your assets as well, like we have witnessed in the past year, especially last year in 2022. So please proceed with caution and only keep on the exchanges at the end of the day what you can afford to lose. Chester says, just saying, hey, I have a company. Much love to all. I will watch later. Thanks millions. Appreciate you tuning in. Much love, much respect as always. Bone is the governance token. Seems like people are getting into the Shiba ecosystem. Now that makes sense. Hence why they were both leading the pack. Pun intended. Were his wallets active right before his murder? That's an excellent question. I have no clue. I only know the insights in which were shared in that particular article. So that's a great question. Maybe we'll find out in the days or weeks ahead. Maybe they took his head, then realized there was no 12-word seed inside of it. Sad, right? The latest death looks like a peso millionaire. Keep a low profile. Sage advice coming from a boomer futurist. You can't be safe enough. I read he was in significant debt. Interesting. Nearly 1 trillion equals small. Laughing my freaking ass off. Shout out to Uber Hodler. What's good, JV, and everybody. What's good, MK, Mr. Still Stacking. Appreciate you tuning in, supporting the channel. As always, dumped to 27.4 over the weekend. Predicts Warkus. We'll see. I'm not anticipating that, but we all know anything is possible. If that were to happen, I'd say BTFD and seize the moment. Use our money to buy assets to back our fake dollar. Shaking my head. I feel you, fam. Dankness, the SEC needs to have defined laws about this new asset, so Grayscale should go after them for the lack of clarity. Agreed, and they seem to be doing so. Tim's Crypto says equal launch would make sense, but they play favorites. Good point. The SEC has standards. Laughing my ass off. Facts. Good point. Watching from Cornwall, England. Shout out to the UK and all my brothers and sisters out there. I'm going to retire when we hit 1 million, says Bart DeBellis. Word up. Do what it do. And why don't we send that Bitcoin price to $1 million already? You ready? Let's go. Michael says Cathie's bear case is 250. Oh, was I that off? Base case 650 and bull case 1.48 million. Well, thank you for the clarification, Michael. My apologies. But at least that bull case is looking all mighty sexy at that $1.5 million mark, isn't it? Natalie Brunell knows her stuff. Massive shout out to Natalie. She is amazing. Highly recommend check out her podcast. Yeah, my prediction is the Bitcoin halving will be in 2024. Nailed it. Cougar, says Uber Hodler. I've heard of crypto sometimes costing an arm and a leg, but not a head. This is just ridiculous. Word up, preach. So did anyone watch the Plan B stream today where he explains his charts and predictions? No, but hopefully there's some good articles written up on it so that I can cover this in tomorrow's show. We'll see what he has to say. Anything enticing or enlightening you want to share with us now, feel free to share it. I'll read it out loud. I plan on never stopping stacking. Word. Same here. Never stopping a stacking. Keep stacking. I'm also stacking and want the price to stay low for cheap sats, but I know it will boom soon. That's right. It's inevitable. I will be able to buy a private jet if Bitcoin hits $1 million. Word up, Omar. Do your thing. Pump to 69. Send it. Let's get back to that all-time high, shall we? Crack knee. Chris, once Bitcoin passes gold's market cap, what is the gold market cap right now? Roughly, what, 11, 12 trillion? Please clarify in the chat. Bitcoin becomes the largest asset class in the world. You already know it's a given. I think next year, great. From Holland, word up. Barry, shout out to Barry. Nate, whether Bitcoin goes parabolic or stays flat at 30,000, Bitcoin is Bitcoin and it will do what it is meant to do. Word up. Sometimes we get too obsessive with the price, especially here on the channel, but it's the bigger picture of what Bitcoin represents that makes it so valuable in the first place. I agree 100%. What's up, Sarah? Appreciate you tuning in. We need more empowered Bitcoin and crypto women, especially on this channel, because my audience, according to YouTube analytics, is like 93% gentlemen and only 7% women. So we need more women. So I'm glad to be talking about Natalie Brunell today and attracting new women to this space. So thank you for tuning in, Sarah. Let me know where you're from, by the way. A jump that big before the halving hasn't happened before, but the market has never looked like this before. Facts. We're in a new territory. You are the only one I enjoy listening all the time, my man. Dr. Omar, that means a lot. So thank you. Much love, much respect. Appreciate you. Tell Mary Nunez to stack more Satoshis. Word up. Coming from Greg Geo. Awesome. Good stuff. Thank you, Bud Conklin. Appreciate you tuning in. Stacking for life. That's what's up. Keep stacking them stats. Chris Minka, 12.7. Is that the market cap of gold? Whoa, it is climbing. Interesting. He talked about how his stock to flow is a good metric. He said that he uses the hashing power and wallets, etc., for data to help with his predictions coming from Digital Dankness. So you're referring to Plan B, creator of the Bitcoin stock to flow model. Good to note. Did he make any new predictions? Let me know. Women here. Rob Stevens. Hi from Washington State. Shout out to Washington. Appreciate you tuning in, Rob. That's right. There's ladies in the house. So be careful what you say, gentlemen. Be respectful. Barry says 93%. Good men. Word up, Barry. Obviously, I don't use my real name. LOL. Word. All good, Rob Stevens. You got to use a name, right, to participate in the chat. So all good. Frank, what's good? Frank H. So funny. One day it's going to hit 2 million. The next it's going to hit 150. Well, we do cover predictions here on the show. Keep in mind the time frames are different and they're coming from different influencers. So every influencer has a different opinion. All a prediction is a opinion. So naturally, every human being is going to have a different opinion on what they expect the Bitcoin price action to do, but that keeps things fun and exciting. So hopefully you're enjoying the show. Just stood by his wide prediction. Word up. Good to note. And I believe his wide prediction, correct me if I'm wrong, this is Plan B, creator of the stock to flow model, Bitcoin stock to flow. He says Bitcoin is likely to range between 100,000 a coin and $1 million per coin after the 2024 halving, which is scheduled to take place sometime in April of 2024, now less than 9 months away. Obviously, that's a wide gap to say, hey, it's going to go somewhere from 100,000 to $1 million, but I guess the medium average there would be $500,000. So I'm excited about that. We shall soon see. And even a conservative 100,000 price action is pretty exciting at today's price at 29,000. That ultimately means we're at least going to 3x, even on the most bearish scenario, according to Plan B. That's pretty cool. No one can stop the Bitcoin train. Preach, Tommy boy. Tommy ain't my mother frickin' boy. I'm not talking about you, Tommy. That's an old Jizza quote from Liquid Swords Wu-Tang album back in the day. Probably any Wu-Tang fans out there, let me know. My real name is Bring Facts. I like that, Facts. Sarah, trading from Poland. Shout out to Poland, and shout out to the legendary Polish power from Jan Horowitz, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. I'm a UFC fan. I will be watching the fights tomorrow. I know he is fighting, so just wanted to throw that out there. Shout out to Sarah. 100,000 to $1 million is right. That's his huge gap prediction. Word up. Opinion is a scientific wild guess. There you have it. Thank you, Michael V. Do Hanks, what's good? Showy? Or is that a shoey? Oh, snap. I have never done a shoey. No way. That's where, for those not watching the UFC, that's where you take a dirty shoe with someone's foot in it, take the shoe off, and then you pour a beer in the shoe and drink it. It happens often in the UFC. Not something I'm into, but hey, you guys do what it do. In time, Bitcoin will only go up. That's right. It got number go up technology. You already know. Wu-Tang Sword style. That's right. My Wu-Tang Sword style is invincible. Yeah, huge Wu-Tang fan growing up. Not just Wu-Tang, but Kung Fu in general. I grew up watching Shaw Brother Kung Fu films. So all the films in which they would reference in their music, I was already a fan of before even listening to their music. So yeah. Wu-Tang raised me. Wu-Tang is for the children. Rest in peace to the old dirty bastard. Hey, Crypto News Alerts fam and JV, back at it. Clearwater, Florida in the building. Shout out to Chester. Word up, Mr. Gregory. Tim's Crypto, what's good, man? Why that face? Thanks for the live stream from New Brunswick, Canada. Shout out to Canada. Have a good weekend, and shout out to the Nelk boys out there. Response audio, I appreciate that, fam. Anyways, now for a recap of what I covered with you here. In today's show, we discussed a lot, including the latest technical analysis as well as breaking news with the House Financial Services Committee passing a bill protecting the right to self-custody your Bitcoin and crypto, as well as El Salvador's new billion-dollar Bitcoin mining startup to create its very own mining pool. We also discussed missing crypto millionaire found dismembered in a suitcase, as well as Mike Novogratz advising investors to buy Bitcoin as the federal interest payments continue to skyrocket. We also discussed the latest with Grayscale urging the SEC to approve all Bitcoin ETFs simultaneously, as well as Bitcoin 60% rally as U.S. banks collapse proved that Bitcoin will usher in a new money revolution, according to ARK Invest. Cathie Wood. I also shared Natalie Brunell's $150,000 Bitcoin price prediction, as well as her experience meeting the president of El Salvador. But where do you feel the Bitcoin price is likely to go next? Let me know in the comments right down below. I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Peace.